Residents, go in and stay in your houses. Drive the rats in the tank area.
What the fuck is up on a sinful heathen Sunday? That's right, it's time for another edition of Tracks from the Motherfucking Damned. And we got a special Epicus Doomicus edition for you as we're going to be ranking the top 5, according to us, albums from one of the most extraordinary, pioneering, and I've even read that they've been considered as one of the big 4 of the most influential doom bands of all time. And of course, we're talking about motherfucking Candlemass. That's right. Man, flavorlicious. Nobody really kind of hits the riff that good since the early incarnation of Black Sabbath. So it's actually a pleasure of mine, and of course my brother Hoofbeats here to bring you our thoughts on this matter. So, but before we get to that, just to let y'all know, obviously it's out there now. It's been on the Facebook page. It's been talked about. We wish our brother Genghis well wishes on his new journey as far as doing the Moonburns Productions media company that he is now spearheading, and wish him well, and by all means check out, see what he's doing, but to let you know though, we are not dead in the water. We are reinventing the wheel, as it were, which we'll be unveiling this week, a new name and the new face, as well as new programming. We got 2 to 3 new shows that are going to be going up, and it's going to be one hell of a good time. So please stay tuned to both Mischief's Facebook page, Reaper obviously, and Human Hoof Beast on Instagram for all those updates. And you're going to see some new faces too, and we're actually pretty excited about that. So more to come. Stay tuned, and of course, stay heavy. So before we get into all this business, we're going to take a quick commercial break over to our brother over in the UK. That's right, Poison Valley Clothing. Check it out. Allahu Akbar. Can't say it enough. Holy shit. Absolutely new great designs coming out of Poison Valley Clothing on Facebook. Please check him out to get any of these latest additions to his custom horror designs, as well as some more bands. Also, I've been noticing on his Facebook page, he's been really kind of sharing out what a lot of the band ambassadors are doing. And it's pretty cool shit. So check him out. All right, we're gonna dive right in to our top 5. Candlemass. albums.
You know,
There were trumpets going off. I wish there was a big fanfare. This band is monumental.
this is a band that if you call yourself a metalhead, check out their stuff if you haven't yet. My goodness. My goodness. Like I think when Ride the Lightning came out in the way that Metallica used the dual guitars, to me, Candlemass has influence from them, mostly from Sabbath and the best Sabbath. But they took it further. It's more complicated, longer songs. Shoot, Messiah's singing when he's the singer. Oh my gosh. Now I must confess, there was a Hard and Heavy video that was on like thrash metal and stuff like this, and they had uh, Bewitched. The Bewitched video was on there, and they interviewed Candlemass. This would have been 1989, and I watched it, and I thought that Messiah was a bit clownish. He was so big, and the way that he kind of stomped around,
Yeah.
but it fit the music. But I didn't like the vibrato in his voice. But that was back then, and so I really didn't pay too much attention to him until years later, and now I love them. One of their albums has made my top 30 metal albums of all time.
It's like two genres almost blended together. So many people were used to how Ozzy fronted, Black Sabbath, not only in his movements, but not in a cartoonish way, obviously. It's just however it fucking moved him. That his more head voice, his more, whatever you call that. I'm not a vocalist, so I don't fucking know. But, he wasn't your traditional kind of singer. Obviously, Messiah is very much a classically trained vocalist. The range on this guy is fucking amazing. And even when he does the spoken word parts, it's like, it just gives you chills because he must be like, maybe he had some theater training as well, because everything about the dude kind of like paints a picture in front of the audience. He's not like Ozzy, who was just like stoic, standing at the mic, and whenever it cut to guitar solo or a different part where he didn't have to sing, and jump up and down. Nah, this motherfucker is like showing you a story. Something nu metal was not known for. As we said before, they are kind of like known as one of the big four. And of course, the other three are Pentagram. Let me see. I think I got it here in my notes. If I can find it. Saint Vitus and Trouble.
Yeah.
Which is really kind of interesting because Iron Serpent has been compared to Trouble earlier this week, and I about shit my brains out after a long bout of eating Taco Bell. I was like, are you serious? No, you didn't just say that. Fuck you. Seriously, I don't know. Pentagram, nothing against them. Love them. Something about Candlemass that just brought it to a whole new level. And kind of inadvertently introduced sludgery.
I'll take Candlemass any day out of those four.
Any day of the week.
Any day.
So
that's why we're doing them.
Yes, absolutely. So my number 5, and this is probably something I've never done in any of these rankings. Coming in at number 5 is Sweet Evil Son. It is the latest record that they have put out. As you know, throughout their career, they broke up like twice. And this is the latest offering since they've been able to keep together no matter what the member changes. This album just spoke to me. It was one of those records that just kind of took me back. Obviously, Messiah is back, to the beginning. It really did. Only polished, even more so. The same level of riff ability that their flavor is known for. Let me go ahead and pull that up real quick. Wizard of the Vortex hit me like listening to Epicus Doomicus Metallicus for the first time. I was like, God damn. And it gave me that flavor, and that's why I had to put that. And this is something I've never done, folks. I'm telling you right fucking now. You can tell me I'm stupid. That's fine. You're obviously good for your opinion. But this record is so good, it had to be my number 5. The title track, Angel Battle, Scandinavian Gods. That's another one of my favorites. There's literally not a bad song at all in this record. They kind of did a much more better balance between the intros to the songs, where it would start with clean guitar. They were kind of known for like overdoing that a little bit, but there's a more cohesiveness here and some attitude too. Some of the songs just right out the gate are like fucking bangers. So that's why I got that as my my number 5. The musicianship is, they never sounded better. Sounded like they never missed a step.
And brother, I'm with you. That's my number 5 as well. I told you weeks ago, this album is fucking good. I just got it a couple months ago. It is so fucking good. This was a first time listen. Holy shit, they're inspired again, and they are back. And the one that they released, I think it was 2019.
Yes.
It's good, but it's not like this album.
This the Door album, to Doom.
Yeah, the Door to Doom. This one. This is like inspiration that takes you back to their first 4 albums.
That's it.
They are right there. And so Johan Lundquist is the vocalist for this. He came back. He came back for The Door to Doom, and I think there was an EP before that he sang on, and his voice is way different than it was on Epicus Doomicus Metallicus. Way different. He sounds a lot more like Rob Lowe from Solitude Alternus and a couple albums before for Candlemass.
So he bended his voice to fit that a little.
Yeah. So I do have some criticisms for this album, though. One, where in the fuck is the bass? There's no fucking bass in this. But go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, I think that the guitars are so fucking fuzzy that they just couldn't find a balance. It's so sludgy, so fucking like, almost over guitar effect, I think.
The single notes that they hang on to, and they're beautiful. Every song is amazing on this album. But the single notes that they hold on to, it sounds like they're recording differently. So there's a benefit to that, and then kind of a downside. It does not sound like they used actual amplifiers and mic the amplifiers. It sounds like they plugged in directly. Like, these guitars are so fucking clean, which is in some ways not as earthy or organic. However, because it sounds to me like they plugged in directly, they fucking cut like a scalpel. When they hold on to those single doom notes, they really bite, unlike any of their other albums to me. And just the riffs that they came up with this album, I just thought they were re-inspired. It was really difficult for me to choose number 5. That was the most difficult choice for me. Is what
Yeah.
album did I have to leave off? Because they didn't make a bad album.
Yeah, that was one thing we were going to preface everybody out there in future land. I don't have a name just yet, so we'll let you know that this was tough because this is one of those bands that actually doesn't have a stinker out of their whole catalog, even through all the member changes. So, and I'm sure there's probably some purists out there that love Candlemass and have like their favorite singer versus the one of the other ones, kind of like a Black Sabbath kind of thing, who's better, Ozzy or Ronnie or, any of the other guys. So it's like not a bad one in the bunch. And this album, I agree with you 100,000%. So much more inspiration went into these songs. It didn't feel like robotery.
Yeah, there's nothing that's kind of flat. Every song on this album is so good. I remember the first time I listened to the first song off of this new album, I was just like, oh my gosh, the way they held those single low notes. They just resonate in your chest. So damn good. So
They
guys,
know how to bring you like the right level of slow build up and then punch you in the face.
so if you're on Spotify and you don't remember the name, it's Sweet Evil Son. This is what the album cover looks like. Unholy shit, this album's great.
All the way. Couldn't agree more. And like I said, this band really didn't have most bands, especially this late in their career, the fact that their latest effort makes it to our top 5 is almost unheard of because most bands tend to get lazy by that time. Or people who are fans of Candlemass prefer the earlier stuff and that's it. Like they don't want anything. That's what happened to Sabbath. Sabbath put out the album 13 and nobody really liked it.
I did.
But every time they played Paranoid or War Pigs, everybody fucking went nuts. It's like, you're not allowed to play anything else, you fucking bastards. I just want War Pigs forever. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with those songs, but damn it, Candlemass came back in a major way and reestablished their dominance in the doom genre.
It's a shame that they just toured here, but they only did like 4 fucking dates. That's some bull. That's not a tour. That's a tease.
And it's really kind of sad. You go on their Spotify, they only have 190,000 listeners per month. A band that has spanned from 1985 or 86 till now, that's it? Oh, man, people. You really got to go back. You got to listen to some of this stuff. Those of you out there that are musicians watching right now, whether you're a drummer, bass player, singer, guitar player, if you're a fan of Doom, I'm talking about Doom at its finest, go back and listen to these records as we talk about them.
Just like Metallica. Sorry.
Nope.
Just like Metallica, I just wanted to piggyback off that. Just like Metallica, how they had in their good album days 2 guitars from Ride the Lightning up through And Justice for All. 2 guitars sometimes breaking away, one of them and doing something different that was melodic. This is what you're going to get with Candlemass, but especially for the first 4 albums. Fucking amazing. All right,
I
sorry.
mean, no, you're fine. No, I agree 100,000%. It does work in this genre. A lot of people think that it's one guitarist, that's all you need. And in this case, they're so good together that it wouldn't be right if there was only one.
Mm-hmm.
And you can reproduce. We've said it 1,000 times, people. If you can't reproduce it live, what are you doing? And they can do it. They bring it. So number 4, man, this was really difficult. Death, Magic, Doom. So many people probably laugh at titles like this, but there's kind of a thing in our Doom, stoner, sludge genre that we love, that titles, it's like all good even if it's funny. Yep, that's it right there. Babylon Sun, how the hell are you? Oh man, check this out. So Babylon Sun tells us, hell yeah, will do. I have never listened to them. I always learn something new when I watch this show. And that's what it's all about. Share us the fuck out. Share us to all your musician friends. This is a universal topic amongst us all.
Reaper and I have been fucking obsessed with metal for our whole lives. Ever since I was into music, I think ever since you were into music, always into metal. So, I mean, this is many, many, many years that we have to share with people. And
both as musicians and listeners, we offer something a little bit different. There's not a whole lot of people that can really break it down as to why we like certain things. And then you find out, well, shoot, I thought I was weird because, I was always breaking shit down. Nah, we do it too. And there's a reason for that. And we want your feedback. Share this out.
I think being musicians helps out as well. Like it gives insights into recording, like the way you're miking amps or drums and vocals, like all kinds of stuff.
Absolutely. And that's really evident in the Candlemass records, is how they're produced a lot. But there is one synonymous thing. That fucking guitar tone never faltered. It's always right on point. And one of the things I loved a lot of this, and I'm going to cite Hammer of Doom off of this record, is Hammer literally gets dropped. We talk about how songs move us. That song in particular, and even The Bleeding Baroness is another one for me. That it just, I'm so getting hammered by the drums, and he's not even doing anything difficult. And this is another reason that these albums are so special to me, is as a drummer, this guy did double bass work sparingly, mind you, but when he does, it's on point. His triplets are to die for, and I can honestly say influenced a lot of my playing, especially in this genre. Bill Ward did some, experimenting over the Black Sabbath years that he was with them, but nobody brought it home like the drummer for Candlemass. His name is escaping me, of course. Go figure. But this record is very thick. It's like when you got a plate of fucking pancakes in front of you and you're looking for some syrup and you go, I want the thickest, richest fucking syrup that I put on those pancakes. The guitar just is that in every sense of the word. There's just, It doesn't matter the tempo, and there's experimentation here, folks. This is why almost every single one of their songs are like 5 fucking minutes long, and you don't get tired of it. It's not like, oh, okay, when's this shit gonna be over? They're not constantly hammering you, with new stuff all the way through. It's like each part literally plays an integral part in the song, and it's brilliant. Anything from chords to like little runs in between that both the guitar players would do. Dead Angel, House of a Thousand Voices, Demon of the Deep. That's a major fucking banger for me. And of course, My Funeral Dreams. What a way to end a fucking record, people. How many bands can you say today you get all the way through the record, and sometimes that last song leaves you going, you must have just got bored and said, fuck, I'll throw this on there just to fill it out. They don't do that. Really check out my Funeral Dreams, because and we were talking about this a little bit before broadcast. They're so fucking dark. I love it. So that's why I chose my number 4.
They're dark but Christian oriented, but they're fucking dark.
Yeah, I forgive them.
Yeah. Yeah, I let it pass too.
We're too good.
So the drummer is Jan Lint, and this brings in a good point. This band stuck together really well. It's really only the vocalists that kept changing. They've had, I think, four different vocalists. No, five different vocalists.
It's like the second verse.
Yep, it is. I agree. But they brought in a second guitarist. I think it was not Ancient Dreams. It was for Nightfall. They brought in the second guitarist. He's been with them all this time, and I mean, the original guitarist is still there. The drummer's still there, and the bassist is Leif. What's his name? Leif Edling. Edling. Leif Edling is. I think he's the one that kind of keeps the band together. I think he's kind of like the leader of the band. He's been there throughout, but boy, this band doesn't look anything like they did in the '80s. When you look at their pictures. And they had really good pictures taken for Sweet Evil Son. It's really, really good pictures. But they don't look anything at all. That's the bassist right in the front. If you go back and look, he had a mullet in the '80s for all of his bands, or the short hair. Yeah, he's on Messiah's right hand there with the short hair. That's him. And here is him today with the white hair. Yeah, that's him in the front. Right there with the beard. Yeah.
I knew we were going to go there. So, yeah. And let us also give you a little bit more insight to them. They came from what I am now calling Doomland, Sweden. All this time, they've been fucking not just growing musicians, man. I don't know what the fuck it is about Sweden, but they turn out so many amazing bands that we listen to nowadays. Fucking Monolord, Ghost, and many, many, many others. It's fucking insane.
Watain, oh, there's so many.
Oh, shit. Every genre, not even just Doom. It's like almost every single thing there is.
Yeah.
And they're gold. Maybe they have a secret Harry Potter wizardry school somewhere that they're just like turning out amazing
my take on that is that they're so close to Europe.
Yes.
But it's a lot darker up there because they're more northern, and it's a bit colder. So they spend more time inside. When I lived in Kazakhstan, it got dark at freaking like 4:30 or 5, and
Holy
minus
shit.
minus 40 degrees, and so it got wicked cold. And so what do? You stay in. And if you love metal and you've got an instrument, get good at that instrument. That's my
You're
theory of the day. I think
Yep.
it's part due to the weather and just that they're inside a little bit more and they get
Oh,
on their
that's
instruments.
a gray day is the most beautiful day of them all. To be perfectly honest.
I like
Uh,
gray.
oh
All
man,
right.
always.
Yeah. So I bet this is a great album. I agree that it's a great album. It's just so hard to choose. I didn't like If I Ever Die. It was too rhythm oriented for me. That's the lead track. So I feel like they made a mistake by putting that as the lead track. I didn't think it showed Rob Lowe at his best. So if any of you don't know, Rob Lowe was the frontman and lead singer for Solitude Aeternus, and
Mhm.
especially listen to Solitude Aeternus's first two albums if you haven't before. His voice was so much better with Solitude Aeternus, especially in the early years. If you look at a picture of him from 1989 or 1990 when Into the Depths of Sorrow came out, and then you look at Rob Lowe when he moved to Candlemass, oh my gosh, this guy let himself go. It's like he decided to eat French fries and donuts every day for like 15 years. He looks like fucking hell. And his voice is not as powerful as it used to be, which
Mm.
is a shame. I find it to be much weaker. Like if like it listen to Solitude Aeternus's Into the Depths of Sorrow. That's another album of mine, 5 out of 5 stars, and that's in
I'm
my top
working on it.
30 best all time metal albums. So Rob Lowe
Hell,
gets with Candlemass, and I was so excited. I was like, hell yes. And it's really good, but to me, he's not quite as powerful. But outside of that first song, all of the other songs are excellent. And my favorites are Hammer of Doom, Demon of the Deep, and House of a Thousand Voices, and My Funeral Hymns. Those four.
you know what? I honestly think, like I said, the Sabbath curse. So many new singers coming in. You had one for 10 fucking years, a new one for 2, and then you have 3 or 4 more before coming back to the second singer. It's like I think it's a curse of I don't know quite how to find myself in this particular type of music. Not even just that it's doom, but just the band, because the band, Geezer Tony, they're a unit. And it's like, how do I sing over top of that? Do I want to try to sound like Ozzy? Do I want to try to sound like Dio? It's like, who am I? You go through this fucking psychosis. I think it's a tough job. You're the guy in front. Me, I'm the guy in the back. I can fucking adapt and whatever. It's like a singer, that's tough. So I think that's why, Rob Lowe had a couple of, little iffy moments just because of that fact alone.
Yeah.
So, all
Still a
right.
good album. All
Hell
right,
yeah. No,
my
still a
my number 4 is one that some people might want to kill me for, but I have my reasoning.
and
It's
that's okay.
Epicus Doomicus Metallicus.
Oh.
So, like in in some ways, I kick myself for this, but because this was such a pioneering album, they took Black Sabbath and they added Metallica's second guitar with the melodies, the single note melodies, and they're just this is heavier than Sabbath. And his voice, Johann was it Johann Lundquist? His
Yes.
voice sounds like Messiah, who sang on the next 3 albums. Then he left, missed out on an album, and came back, I think, in 2003. and sang on a self-titled Candlemass album. But Solitude is one of the classics. They have to play Solitude every time they have a show.
Yep.
Every song in there, Demon's Gate, Crystal Ball, Blackstone Wielder, I mean. The whole album is really, really good. I just feel like they lost a little bit with Under the Oak, and that's a song they re-recorded for a later album, Better with Messiah. And for whatever reason, I think they did a better job with it. Because it started to fumble just a little bit the last two songs. The last song is A Sorcerer's Pledge. And it's still a good song, but I felt like it stumbled a little bit. But this is a pioneering album. This is a must-have album for any metalhead.
Kyler, I absolutely agree with you 1,000%. He says, I was thinking without this band, would we have Doom Eternal music? Honestly, a world without Candlemass, I don't think it would be what it is today. And the mark that they've left on 2010 to today, I don't think it would have happened.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. All of y'all out there, you could agree, you could disagree. It doesn't matter. We want your feedback. Please put it in the comments. We want to know. YouTube and Facebook, we love you both equally. Let us know. Even if you don't know too much, or maybe you heard one or two records, shit. We love and value your opinion. Real quick, before we get to our number 3, we're going to take a quick commercial break to one of our fantastic sponsors over at Villain Arts Tattoo Conventions. Check it out. That's right. It's not just tattoo, it's a way of life. It is culture. It is art. It is phenomenal. It brings us all together as a community. Villain Arts Tattoo Conventions, myself, Reaper, and Mischief will be making our appearance in the summer. As it were, this coming May, we're not going to be at the one in Kansas City. I know we were saying that we were, but we are going to the Denver Horror Convention. And Denver, get the fuck ready, because we're coming. But anyways, we will be there at the next Villain Arts in June, and I will give you all the details. Stay tuned. All right, we are back, and we're on number 3 of this epic journey of one of the greatest doom bands of all time, motherfucking Candlemass. Again, this is so fucking tough. My number 3. Oh, Kyler. Kyler says, Virginia needs more events. You guys can come to this. You guys can come to this bullshit? Okay, so as I'm understanding, you're referring to your state. We will be coming your way. Let me get back to you on that. But for my number 3, I have chosen King of Grey Islands.
Wow, okay.
Emperor of the Void. fucking captured my soul. The moment I fucking heard it. And it's really kind of weird because my latter picks of out of 5 are a lot of newer stuff from this band, and that's because they just kept bringing masterful riffing, and the drums are electric. They're simple, but damn it, this album explores so much. And like I said, some of these records are just so goddamn sludgy. How can you not like it? Especially if you're a Fuzz fan. Seriously, a serious fucking Fuzz fan. Candlemass is the band for you. Uh, and like I said, Sabbath just pours right out of the guitar players. It really does. But it takes Tony's ideas and makes them almost better. I know you can shoot me now. I said it. I went against the godfather of the riff, but damn it, it's true. So good. The rhythms, the way it moves, it's a little bouncy at times, which I fucking love. It's not so straight on. And that's what this record does. Emperor of the Void, Of Stars and Smoke. Holy fuck. Do I need to say more on this? Destroyer is another big one for me. Demonia 6. I love their play between the slow, almost, funeral at times, to where they can just bring it up tempo and go halftime. This album constantly has that dance with it, and in some cases even a little faster, where the snare is driving 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. It's evident. Man of Shadows, Opal City, Embracing the Sticks. From start to finish, this album is fantastic, and the way the vocals work with all these tunes, I really enjoy. Some of the records, the vocals seem a little bit farther back. This one's a little bit more in your face. And that's how I like my Candlemass. I want that voice to reach out and grab my ass. Oh, who's back there? Shit, just grab my ass. That's what happened. So for those reasons, that's why I chose this one.
Yeah, this is my favorite of the Rob Lowe albums, Rob Lowe fronted albums. So he had just finished recording Solitude Eternus' last album, which is called Alone. And then when Candlemass comes a calling, you answer that call, and Rob did. Yeah, it's a really good album. This CD is really hard to find right now. Their most popular song is probably Solitude, Bewitched, or what's the one that starts with an M? It's on Mirror Mirror. Solitude,
and according
Bewitched,
to
or
Spotify,
Mirror Mirror. Yeah.
According to Spotify, Solitude has over 8 million listens. So I would say absolutely those are the ones.
Yeah, darn good songs. Those are my 3 favorite of their songs. All right. Well, my number 3 is another CD that's really hard to come by, and it's Tales of Creation. It's their 4th album that they ever came up with, and I do have a little bit of criticism for them. It sounds like they stopped using Gibson guitars for this album, and they used like a Kramer or a Fender with a double humbucker, because it sounds like kind of like a hollowed out kind of light body guitar. So the distortion sounds a little, dare I say, cheapish, a little bit, but still.
That one didn't make my list.
To me, when Messiah was still, I don't think Messiah was as good as the 2 albums that were right before that. But Messiah, to me, is the best leader of that band. I personally like Candlemass with Messiah more than anything else. And I'm the one who said I thought he was clownish back in the late 80s. I couldn't really listen to his voice, and I can now, but I think part of it is because now that I can play guitar much better than back then, I really appreciate what they do and the way that they write. But
Absolutely.
but Messiah is an absolute character, and this album to me is very similar to the ones that came right before it, Ancient Dreams and Nightfall. It's kind of hard to distinguish them except for that guitar. I would say the drums sound a little bit more clear in this album and a little bit
They do.
less foxy, but really good riffage. You're getting the same sort of complicated riffs with a Metallica-esque single note harmonizing kind of guitar going over the riffs, and it's beautiful. I love it. I could almost pick all five, or well, Messiah did four of their albums. I almost chose Messiah in all four, but I didn't.
You know, and that's why I said picking these albums are so hard. I'm sure easily if you got with Candlemass from the start back in 1986, you definitely followed them through the next three records. So those first four, all the way up to Tales of Creation. That's where it was kind of a sour note for me. Don't get me wrong, the first record, Forever, fantastic. The next three, with the exception of the production of the albums, sounded very similar to me. Those next three. And I love a lot of those tracks, and it's not that I wouldn't listen to them from front to back. I totally would. I still would. I always will. But there are way too many similarities in some of the riffing for me. And I don't know, that kind of, I always look for, how are they stepping up their game? Are they exploring some new avenues? And some of them, do a little bit. But it really wasn't until we got into the early 2000s that I felt like they were really starting to expand musically. Like I said, just my opinion.
To me, the way I looked at this, and I thought of this before we went on air for this, it feels to me it's like you get two Master of Puppets in a row, and then you get a Ride the Lightning.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like that. So but I totally agree. I see what you're saying because they're so similar. All three of them. They are different when you hear them, but they do sound really similar. But to me, it's like I can't argue with giving me two Master of Puppets and a Ride the Lightning. I'll take it all day long.
Well, sure, because we've seen this in so many big career bands where it starts to get sour as they move up, by, like, let's say album 4 or 5, and it's like, what the hell happened to you? And then they have like 2 or 3 stinkers in a row, and then all of a sudden they either did like a half a pound of smack or something, and suddenly they're back. Musicians are human beings, people. I think they go through shit, and that sometimes stunts creativity as a musician. It's so true. It can either be your best or worst enemy in a lot of ways. Yeah, definitely start from the beginning. I agree with you, Babylon Son. Kyler says, I do love how hard it is to pick the list because it really gives you a chance to go more in depth and detail on what would be number one. Yeah, And, you know, let's say for sake of argument, whatever your favorite band is individually, I bet you it would be hard to rank some of those records, especially depending upon, you know, the length of career, such as this one. All right. So we're getting to the nitty gritty here. We're talking about the top two. And I bet you somebody's going to fucking throw a snowball at me packed with ice for my number two. Especially, I guess, you know, for you know, Doom purists. You know how that goes. Anyway, surprisingly, for my number two, I went with 1999's From the 13th Sun.
Wow.
And I'm going to tell
Good
you
album.
why.
Damn good album.
Fucking raw. That album is so raw. It's like they went back to the 70s way
Absolutely.
of. And I've always been a huge fan. And I know a lot of other musicians that are. It's like when you can capture that live sound, depending upon the style, you know, certain bands, certain styles, you got to have XYZ. But with a band like this, though, it worked so well. It's like that drum kit just came to life. I heard every hit on the cymbals. And on this particular record, the drummer was doing like a lot of riding on a crash. And in the Doom genre, there are times where that just sounds so good. It's so effective. Or if you were using what is known as a crash ride, very apparent on the song Droid, the way that kicks in and that cymbal's just sizzling. The fucking guitars are so fucking raw sounding. The fuzz is just eating up so much air. You know, and a little bit of criticism, obviously, the vocals are a little bit back in the fray. They need to be out more in the front. But musically, songwriting wise, creativity, this album makes my taint tickle. It just does. I don't know if I'm saying this right. Bluma Apartment or Bluma Apartment. It's the fourth song on the record. Fuck. It starts off so hardcore, and then it's like this beautiful, clean guitar, and the vocals are almost kind of like spoken word, and then it just comes up, man, and it just goes the fuck off. I love it. Other favorite songs off of this: Galatia. Maybe I said that right. Maybe I didn't. Mythos. The whole album is fucking fantastic. Rock and roll, great way to end the record. I just the rawness of it. You could feel the emotions in it, and just very experimental. I loved it.
I think it's experimental in that this is the album that sounds the most like early Black Sabbath. It really does. It really does. And I would dare say that this lead singer was doing his best Ozzy Osbourne impersonation as well.
Yes, I agree.
But I think they put him kind of back in the mix a little bit because he's not a super talented vocalist. I thought what he wrote was pretty good stuff, but his delivery lacks. His voice is a little weak, I felt. But the riffs are there. This is an inspired album. But that's what separates it from their previous 4 albums, is it really sounds like, I'm so glad you said that, because that's exactly what I thought. It sounds like they went back to 1970. Between 70 and 74. It sounds so much like that.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if my brain is just permanently stuck between the 60s and the early 80s. in terms of certain sounds and certain styles, and it takes you back into that window. It's like you could really feel that where their heart was, as far as what influenced them, and it came off great. Now here we are in 2023. There aren't too many bands that can really pull off a raw sound. That's just my opinion. They did this in 1999, people. Killer fucking record. Please check it out.
I'm glad that we've chosen different things because, like, I'm not going to throw anything at you. That's a damn good album. You happen,
Like, you'd be surprised.
you happen to like it. Okay. I love it. I think it's great, but I don't think it's as good as Ancient Dreams.
That is a fucking fantastic record.
Ancient Dreams is their third album, and this is their second Master of Puppets album, in my opinion. It's beautiful. This one has Mirror, Mirror on the Wall.
I love that song.
Classic. Just Messiah is such a character. He demands the attention. He carries like this band is already so cohesive and so talented and so together. But with Messiah, he's an intense dude, and I have a feeling that the guys were together, and maybe Messiah was a little bit hard to get along with because he's the one that left and then came back and then left again. Everybody else stayed together. This album is, from front to back, artistically speaking, such a beautiful album. But boy, does it sound like almost like it's like these were the same excellent 9 tracks that they couldn't put on the album right before it. This album sounds so much like Nightfall. A lot. Production, guitars, it sounds like the same thing almost, but the songs are different. I mean, we're not going to say Bewitched sounds like Mirror, Mirror.
Well, no.
But damn,
there's some similarity between those two records. And it might have to do with the producer or even the record company.
The artwork that they have on these, it's old classic paintings. Just
gorgeous.
Yes, beautiful landscape paintings. And this one has like the Taj Mahal as the clouds, like heaven. Like this painting really makes you think. Here they are praying, kind of. It's an angel on the boat, on the front of the boat, and this guy's like heading. It looks like he's heading towards heaven.
Of course, my version would be like a spike coming down as he's ascending, and he just goes through it. and the fucking boatman sitting there going, "Look at you!" Then again, I'm demented. So
yeah, great album, people. Go and check the album out if you haven't. It is so damn good.
Fan-fucking-tastic. So we have come to number 1. I'm pretty sure Hoofbeast has figured out what my number 1 is. And that is, it started it all. It was my introduction to them. It will always have, it's kind of like Down's first record. Every fucking song is just a masterpiece. Epicus, Doomicus, Metallicus. I really can't say that too well. But it is everything to me that made me fall in love with this band. When there was a lot of people that just could not get with the man's way of singing, I fucking loved it because, I mean, I'm a power metal fan. I have multi subgenre of metal likings, especially through the 80s. So, my advice to you, if you're hearing about this band for the first time, start at the beginning. It's fucking worth it. This song or album is, like I said, from front to back, anything from Demon's Gate, like you said, Under the Oak, A Sorcerer's Pledge. Everything is just amazeballs. Check it out.
A groundbreaking album.
It really is.
Well, nobody's going to throw anything at you for that one either. Like a lot of times, it's the first three albums that people pick for number one. It's usually my number one, which is Nightfall, or it's Epicus Doomicus Metallicus. But this album, to me, is a little more refined. And although what was his name? Johan Lundquist was the singer for Epicus Doomicus Metallicus, and he sounded a lot like Messiah. Messiah is at a different level of singing than
For sure.
And so, and this was that energy that took this album to kind of, for me, for no better way of describing it, kind of Metallica Master of Puppets level. It's beautiful. Their guitars, in my opinion, are a little bit more sophisticated, the way their songwriting is going. Like, I could totally throw Epicus Doomicus in number one. I wouldn't have any problem with, I have no problem with people doing that because it was such a groundbreaking album. Nothing sounded like that. Of course, it sounded heavily influenced by Black Sabbath, but it was Black Sabbath to a new level. In my opinion. And when Nightfall came out, it's the first time, you know, they never really let Johan Lundquist in the band during Epicus Doomicus Metallicus. And I think Johan was pissed off, and Messiah approached them and said, "Hey, look, I'm going to be your new singer." And they were like, "What?" And so they invited him over for a practice, and he blew him away. Right? Of course he did. This dude can frickin' sing, and his stage presence is something else. He might be 300 pounds and wearing a giant kind of like hooded kind of father out or brother or monk outfit, and he's like really stomping around for every show. But I'd love to have him as the front man. He's amazing.
I'm pretty sure though that he's the reason the hoods appear across every doom band of the last 20 years.
Absolutely.
It's anonymous. You see it in videos. It doesn't matter if they're like, you know, major independent bands or they're independent bands. All of them have the hood imagery. Not just to like show the magician or this or that, because let's face it, he was wearing a monk outfit, but there was no cross. So literally can use that to your advantage, you know, as far as your imagery is concerned. And this type of metal is huge on symbolism and imagery. So the fact that he kind of pioneered that, I think, was genius.
Yeah, and every song on this album is excellent, but they left Bewitched all the way to the second to last song on the album, which is really smart. But like as you go back and listen to it again, you're like, oh my God, this song is so good too, and this song is so good.
Absolutely, and that's why we love how it almost forces us, you know, to go back. It's like you learn something new every time you go through an old record.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta say that's our top five, and I think we've inspired a few people out there watching to go check them out. And I think you're going to be very pleasantly surprised. And that's kind of the point of this show. You know, you learn something new, or you find out that you got a lot in common with us two old farts. Really appreciate you all tuning in. I know it's a different time of day. It ain't always going to be that way, but normally this show will run at 8 p.m. CST, 9 p.m. EST. There we go. Thank you. I had to think about that for a second. Almost made my brain fall apart. It's been a long week, folks, and we're glad to cap off the end of your week with a fantastic fucking band. What a legacy, and it's still going strong today. So we appreciate y'all. And next week, we will let you know during the week what the next topic of the show is going to be. And of course, all the new programming is going to kind of start to unfold as well, including Reapers Underground on Tuesday. Maurice McCoy Jr., the director and CEO of Flashtainment LLC, is going to be with me Tuesday, in which I got a role in his film, the fan film Friday the 13th, called The Multiverse of Jason. So definitely tune in for that and stay peeled for all the latest information. But most importantly, end of the day, stay heavy.
All residents, go in and stay in your houses. Drive the rats in the tank area.